Okay, let me tell you where we're going. I would get out your list that's been posted that did male and female reproductive system. We're going to start with the male. So you might, I know these are a little blurry behind me, but I'll have that list and it's in order. So you'll see that. I also have some models and I'll go over some of these structures with you with the model in front of me. This is a plastic model, okay? Okay. And this is going to be the last before the final. So we're going to do male, then we'll do female, and then we have a final exam. Keep focused. If you watch Canvas, in announcements, it tells you what we're doing, and then you go to the week, and it'll say week of April 23rd or week of April 30th, and it will tell you what's going on that week. Okay, that is our pacing guide, like we used to have here on the board. If you are ahead, that's where you want to be. If you're behind, that's where you don't want to be. Okay, good. Okay. Again, I think the communication with myself and the team, that one's empty, is going pretty good from everything I've heard. Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep talking while I'm looking for colors. All right, that color. What you guys been doing? Do you ever wash your pajamas like I suggested? Okay, don't get excited because Newsom and Trump are saying they're going to open up the economy. Okay, don't get all excited about that because if we start increasing our numbers, that means the number of people that are testing positive, which you know they're going to increase the numbers because they're testing more people. That's a friggin' no-brainer. But people that are hospitalizing, if they keep going down, people are hospitalizing and keep going down, then we're going to start opening some stuff up. I guess you heard that yesterday they opened up elective surgeries that are necessary. I know that sounds kind of weird. And I imagine for you dog lovers, the little dog parks will be open soon. But anyway, keep focused, keep your distance, keep focused, and hopefully by the middle of May, we can get through this and maybe you can guys, we can all get together and go out and have wine or beer and stuff and chase butterflies. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you what over here. I got stuff all across the board, as you know. So I'll go through here and tell you what I'm going to be doing and then do it, explain it, turn it off, clean all this up, finish up the last with the male, clean it up, and then do female, okay? All right, over here. It says female reproductive system, okay? Testing. What do we know about the testing? Okay, besides you got two of them and they hang down in the sac. What else do you know about it? Where the sex cell is made, correct? What's the male sex cell? Sperm. What else is a male sex cell? Think. Good, there isn't anything. So the testy is the male gonads. Okay? Gonads are where the sex cell is made. Does that make sense? So the male gonads are the testy, the female gonads, the ovaries. Okay? So you see left, you see gonads, you see the testy gonad, then you see left. Okay? The testes do not hang at the same level. The left side is lower, and that allows us dudes, when we're walking, for one testy to pass over another one, they don't smack against each other, causes us to lose our wind and pass out. Okay? So the left side is lower than the right side. Okay, hormones. You realize that the reproductive system, or the production of sperm, and the secondary sex characteristics, facial hair and that kind of stuff, is controlled by hormones. Okay? The male hormones, testosterone. That's it. Okay. We know that the gonads hang out in a sac that extends from the body called the scrotum. Scrotum. Okay? Scrotum. Okay. Now, Do you remember when we did meiosis and I had 3 terms that I talked about? Homologous, analogous, heterologous. I'm going to do those again, okay? Because I gave you examples of homologous and analogous structures between the male and female. And to do that, I talked about what is homologous by definition, what is analogous, and then remember the butterfly wings? I'm going to do that again for you. Got it? And does this hat make me look fat? Okay. Anyway, I'll talk about those. And then we're going to talk about how the human body embryologically forms. And what you do is it starts from the back side and comes around to the front. Comes around the front, straight on down. There's almost like a suture point. Okay? For the scrotum, it starts off in the back. As we know, it starts off as labia majora, and then it grows around and then attaches. And there's a line that attaches all the way from posterior to anterior, right dead in the middle. On the outside, there's a ridge of skin called Raphae. On the inside, there's a muscle. Okay? And we'll talk about that muscle right over there. Right, I'm under Raphae, Dartos. We'll talk about that muscle. There's also another muscle called Cremaster, and I'm going to get to those. Then we remember it in meiosis. We talked about inside the testes. There's voids or empty lobules, and those inside those lobules are coiled up tubes called Semineferous tubules. Remember that? And we said those cells that make up the Semineferous tubules are unique in that they can undergo mitosis and meiosis, remember? And those cells are called Spermatogonia. I'm working my way down here. And then after it leaves the lobules, before it goes into the epididymis, is where sperm is stored, it goes to the Rete Testie. I'll draw that for you. And then the epididymis is where it's stored. And that's where we stopped when we did meiosis. And then we're going to go down, we're talking about the parts of the sperm. We're going to talk about the tube that connects the testes to the urethra. Okay, so in other words, to get it to go outside, and that's got a name. We're going to talk about spermatic cord. We'll talk about what a hernia is. Here's where I'm at. Talk about what a hernia is. You can see there's different types of hernia. We're going to talk about accessory glands, the ejaculatory ducts, the urethra. Okay, the urethra drains the bladder, both in males and females. But in males, we do one extra thing. It also takes sperm, or it's actually semen, to the outside. Yeah, and the urethra is broken into 3 parts: prostatic, membranous, and spongy. Then I did the accessory glands, of which there are 3. You've heard of them: seminal vesicle, prostate, Cowper's or bulbal urethral gland. Then I'll talk about what is semen. Okay, we're not talking about Navy semen. What is semen? And then we're going to say sperm and seminal fluid. Then that's as far as I got here on the board that you could see. I'll erase all that, finish it up. We'll finish up talking about a willy, penis, and then we'll do the female. Are we good? Okay, so this will involve some drawing. Okay, back over here. Testes. Testes is the male gonads. Testes, the male gonads. We have 2 of them. Okay, the left is lower than the right. Got it? We put them in a protective sac called the scrotum. So testes, the male testes are the gonads, left is lower, and we hang them out in a sac called a scrotum, away from the body. I want you to think about this one. If it's away from the, it seems like if something, we've talked about this before, something that is important to our survival as a species, we put it in a sac. Remember that? Hey, the sac is the scrotum. And if it's really, really important to our survival, we put bone around it. Got it? Wait, without sperm, you can't reproduce your species. I don't get it. Seems like we'd have put bone around there. Boy, that'd hurt, huh? At least you can play baseball. Think about it. Get a line drive, instead of hitting your scrotum and knocking you out, it hit the bone, bounce right off. Be pretty good. Yeah. Maybe I should suggest that. Anyway, getting back to the point. The the scrotum doesn't have bone around it. Now, you would think that humans have been around for a little over 3 million years. Human, not the way we look today, but human species as primates and stuff like that, about 3 million years. In 3 million years, if it was so important for our survival as a species, wouldn't we put those testes up in the abdominal cavity, in the pelvis, like the females did? Females did. Their ovaries are up in being protected in a sac, the ovary, and in the pelvis. But males not. They're hanging out there to get hit, run over, fall on your bicycle, hit all kinds of stuff. And if it doesn't work right, you could end up sterile. And if you're sterile, you can't reproduce your species. See where I'm going? So there must be an advantage of leaving them hang out of the body. And the answer is yes. So sperm die at body temperature. So let's say 98.6. Sperm die at 98.6. Sperm die at 104. Sperm die at 80. I'm just using throwing those numbers out here. So there's a window of when sperm can survive. And it's between, let's say, 92 and 85. Let's say right there is where they survive. Got it? If it gets any hotter, in other words, it gets above 92, sperm start dying, which means you're infertile. So why wouldn't we evolve sperm that could survive at body temperature? Then we could put the testes up, protect them. I know it looked kind of goofy, but we could protect them. Life is good, yes? But it doesn't work that way, and hasn't worked that way in 3 million years. And dogs and cats and horses and cows, pigs are all the same. Their testicles are hanging out on the back, okay? So there has to be a reason. The reason is sperm dies at body temperature. Evolutionarily, we still want it to die at body temperature. Do you understand? We want it to die at body temperature. Reason is when a male mammal ejaculates into a female mammal, you want the sperm to start dying. Otherwise, if they didn't, they would stay viable for longer periods of time. Females would always be pregnant. Not good, yes? And you would have weak sperm surviving. See, with the heat process and the acid process, which I'll get to you in a minute, with those two processes, you start killing the weak sperm. So that way you don't, for a lack of a better term, have a retarded kid coming out all the time, okay, with a defect. Do you understand? So our testes in the scrotum extends from the body so we can control the temperature. If your body gets too hot, like we're starting to get into some warm temperatures, what do you notice about your testes? They're down around your ankles. That's a joke, not that far. But they extend further from the body. Yes? And the scrotum is real smooth because that's where the extra tissue is. Does that make sense? Okay? On a cold day, it comes up to the body because remember, hot, cold, sperm dies. So it comes up against the abdominal wall where it can get warm and the sperm can survive. And that's when we notice that scrotum we almost look like a female, don't we? That scrotum's almost gone. There's wrinkles all over the scrotum because that's where the extra tissue is. Do you understand? So, evolutionarily, sperm die at high-low temperatures and not anything below body temperature or up above about 92 degrees, they start dying. Survival of the fittest, I explained it, correct? Okay. We said that, let's look at these structures. Homologous, analogous, and heterologous. Homologous, definition. Same origin may or may not have the same function. Homologous. Same origin may or may not have the same function. Now, what origin means is where it comes from. Got it? And I think in lecture, if you remember way back to the very beginning, we did meiosis, which I think was like chapter 5 or something like that. No, chapter 3. we talked about my arm and the front legs of a cow. Are they homologous or analogous? And the answer is they're homologous. If you took the front leg of a cow, it would have a humerus there. Got it? Let's get one a little more difficult. My arm and the wing of a bird, homologous, analogous. It's homologous. If you took the feathers off, you'd find out the upper part of the arm is humerus. The lower part of the arm, radius ulna. Got it? Now, they're not going to look like ours. They might be stretched out. They might be compact. They might be something, but they're still one bone, two bones. Do you understand? Homologous structures. Okay? Analogous structures. Analogous structures, different origin, same function. Analogous, different origin, same function. Got it? So you're thinking, okay, what does that mean? Example, wing of a bird and the wing of a butterfly. Do they both cause flight? The answer is yes. So they have the same function, but if you take the butterfly wing apart, is it going to have a humerus and a radius and ulna? Don't think too hard on this one. The answer is no. So it doesn't have the same origin, doesn't come from the same part. Do you understand? So that's the difference between homologous and analogous structures. Now, the next term you see down there is heterologous. Now, when we talk about heterologous, we compare it to homologous. And we're not talking about structures, we're talking about genes, okay, our genetic code, our chromosomes, okay? Homologous chromosomes mean I've got let's say number 5 from mom right here, and I've got number 5 from dad here. Remember the pop beads in your mind, picture a pearl necklace, and I'm holding them here. And the pearls are genes. Remember what those were? Genes were enough genetic information to make a trait. So pearl number 10 on dad's matches 10 on mom. In other words, they have the same built-in information. It may not be the same information. One might have blonde hair and the other one has brown hair. Or one might have blue eyes and the other one has brown eyes. So, but the eye color is on that gene. You understand? Those are called homologous chromosomes, homologous genes. You understand? We have one set that is called heterologous, and that is only in males, and it's the XY chromosome. Mom's got the X pearl necklace, dad has the Y pearl necklace, but dad's Y pearl, I'm going to draw this for you. Here's mom's X, okay, and here's dad's Y. Do you see? See how short it is? Here to here, there's nothing. So these are homologous, but this portion right here is heterologous because there's nothing to cancel it out. Okay? Okay? So when we look at the terms homologous genes or homologous chromosomes, we're not talking about structures. Homologous and analogous are structures. Homologous, heterologous are genes. Homologous is used twice. Okay? And we went into great dialogue back when we did chapter 3, and we turned around and did it again. So you know you're going to see it on the exam. Okay. As a dude, this is a female becoming a dude. You grow, this is labia majora, and you grow around like that, and then you do the other side, go around like that, and then they join in the middle. This middle on the outside is a raised part of skin, and that's called the raphae. Got it? Raphae. Raised skin on the male scrotum. Let's see if I have one. I got a model here, but I don't see the raphae. So you just got to believe me. Okay, I'm over here. Okay, see, I got the model here. Almost dropped his penis. This is a male. Can you tell? Good. Hope you weren't struggling with that. Here's another male. I just dropped the prostate, the seminal vesicle, and part of the spermatic cord. But I held on to his penis, so we didn't drop the penis. Okay, let me get this back on here. Man. Oh, there it is. We got it, boys and girls. By the way, did Baskin kill her husband? Did you guys ever find that out? All right. This one right here is the one that we have the key for the model for the male. It's the green one. Okay. Now, some of the 3B, some of this, the numbers match. We put the numbers on. Okay. You understand? Okay. Let's go back over here. Homologous. You guys ready? Homologous. What structure? I'm going to give you names, and you think, is it homologous or analogous? Okay, structures. Male, female. Ready? Testy, ovaries. You probably went, oh, that's easy. That's homologous. You were correct. Feel good about yourself. Okay? Next one. Clitoris. Is there anything homologous on a dude? Okay. Now, I lost about half of you because you're not too sure. The glans penis, the head of the penis, this guy right here. Okay. This guy right here. That's just a big clitoris. It's homologous. Okay. Fallopian tube. Is there anything on a dude that's homologous to the fallopian tube? And the answer is yes, right here. The Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens, Seminal Duct, all the same name. It's what carries the sperm from the testes up to the urethra. Homologous, homologous to the female's fallopian tube. Scrotum, scrotum. Anything? Think. Okay. If I triggered something in your mind that makes you go back and go, oh yeah, I remember talking about that when we did meiosis. That's when we did these. Okay. The scrotum of the male is labia majora of a female under the influence of testosterone when it's being developed. Whoa. So really, you either, if you don't have a scrotum, you got labia majora. If you have a scrotum, your labia majora are really big, and it come all the way around, and it attached, and where it attached, there's a ridge of skin called Raphae. Okay. What else do I have? Vagina. Oh, that got you, huh? There is nothing. Women got that one all locked in. Okay. Seminal vesicle gland of a dude. Okay, that's the Bartholin's gland in a female. Okay, I'll get to those. I'm thinking. I think that's about it. Okay. We have skeenies, which is another one, which is the calipers. But anyway, you can look them up. So we have homologous, analogous, yes? Now, on the inside of the scrotum, lined with a sheet-like muscle called the dartos. Sheet-like muscle called the dartos. Remember we were talking about when it gets cold and when it gets hot? These are heat-sensitive muscles. And what they do is they allow the testes to distend, that means move away from the body, which will cool them. Or it draws them back up closer to the body to warm them up. Yes? Okay. There's also another one that's kind of like a pencil. one on the right side and one on the left, that attaches to the abdominal wall and then the floor of the scrotum. And that's heat sensitive muscle, and that pulls them up also along with the dartos, and that muscle is called the cremaster. Cremaster. Next two terms we see up here are lobules and seminiferous tubules. I'm going to draw it right here. No, I'm not. I'm going to move you over this way. Woo. Woo. Remember what this room used to be? We used to have fun in here, huh? Okay. I'm going to draw a scrotum. Did you see that? That's a big one. Okay? And inside the scrotum, the testes. This would obviously be the left side. And inside the testes are lobules. Okay? Lobules. I'll mark it for you. Lobules. Testes. Scrotum. Okay? Here's the abdominal wall. Okay? Just so you get, here's the leg. Toes. The leg. Toes. Okay? You see it now? Okay, yes, you're probably thinking the same thing. God dang, that's a big scrotum. Okay? Now let's put some blue fingernail polish, toenail polish on. Okay. Okay. We good? Okay. I'll do it in yellow. Lining the inside of the scrotum is the dartos, D-A-R-T-O-S, muscle, dartos muscle. Attached to the floor, to the abdominal wall, is another heat-sensitive muscle called the cremaster. Both of those elevate and distend the scrotum and testes. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these. See if you can still see me. Yeah, I'm going to take one of these lobules and I'm going to enlarge it. Okay, and we're looking. I didn't do that. Here is a lobule. There's a lobule. Inside a lobule is a tube. That tube is called a Semineferous tubule. Do you understand? If I take that Semineferous tubule and I take it out, cut it, you can see that it's made out of cells. And these cells are unique. Only males have these cells. They're unique because they can undergo mitosis and meiosis. And these cells are called, I have it down there. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at. You can't see it. Okay, under lobules, I had cremaster, I had lobules, and I had seminiferous tubules, and then I had spermatogonia. I just drew the seminiferous tubules in green, and this is green, and the tubes are called, the cells are called spermatogonia. Do you understand? So they go on year after year, just going through mitosis. Okay? And then one day, they get a knock. And it says, hey, you're not going to go through mitosis. You're going to go through meiosis, and you're going to be a sperm cell. Okay, so it goes to the next layer. Remember spermatogenesis? We're talking about spermatogenesis. Remember the tetrad, dyad, haploid, diploid? Remember all those? Okay, so it divides, and this becomes a tetrad. Okay, in meiosis 1. That's a fancy one. Okay, and then it does it again. Remember chiasma and all that stuff? Okay, and it does that. And then we have a haploid. Well, first we have a dyad in meiosis 2. And then it divides again. I got another color here somewhere. Oh, got it. I'll make it red. You probably can't hardly see it. I don't know if you can magnify it on your screen. What I tried to do is I tried to make this get closer, but when I get closer, the board is so small I can't have any place to you don't care. Okay, you just want to see it easy. Anyway, we have haploid. I'll use red and I'll say haploid. Haploid is the sex cell. Yes, which is sperm. Good, good. That drops off in here. We put a little tail on it, and it goes out searching for an egg. Yes, it says, "I want to be the baby daddy." So now it's in this. It's in the Semineferous tubules. That's what this is, and it's coming out here. All of them are joining just inside the testy, and that's called, the place it joins is called Rete Testie. It's kind of like a network of all these tubes coming together outside the lobules. Okay, I'm going to switch back to black. All right. Then it goes to a storage area, and the storage area is the epididymis. And that's where it may stay, and the sperm eventually dies. But if a dude's going to ejaculate, then it comes out of the epididymis and travels up into the abdominal cavity. You understand? So back over here. Back over here. Gotta move it. Gotta move it. One more little pop. Okay. Spermatogonia, Rete Testie, epididymis. That's where I'm at, right there, epididymis. Sperm. All right. Let me erase some of this stuff so I could draw you another picture. All right. What I'm going to do is, after I go through my little drawings, then I'll take the models and try and show you in the models where it's at. And then if you open up your textbook and you go through it, you can see it again. Ah, damn it. I just erased some of my good stuff. Shit. Dang it. All right, female, where's the male? Here it is. Let's see what I erased. Arteries. Oh, gotcha. I erased a lot. Okay. This column. I have epididymis. I'm not going to write that again. I'm going to put sperm. Have a head. Midpiece. Tail. And under tail I had flagellum. And then you had an asterisk and it said acrosome. And then it had Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens, Seminal duct. Then arteries. Okay, we're good. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna draw one for you. You see me? Okay, you can't see. Man, move it over a little bit. Where are you at? There we go. Okay. Here's a sperm. We saw this in that video. Remember the continuation of life, meiosis, continuation of life, and it was striped yellow and black. Okay. This is a sperm. This is the head. This, midpiece. This, tail. Also called flagellum. Remember protein, you remember that? Okay. On the outside of the head is an enzyme. Remember in the continuation of life, the little sperm was right at the egg and it was so wiggling around and all of a sudden it spit up this milk stuff on there. And I said that was acrosome. It's a hormone that causes the corona radiata to relax so the sperm can go inside. Remember that. And then immediately it changes. Remember the little buddy tried to come in? Okay. This was that milky stuff. This is called acrosome. And it is an enzyme that neutralizes the protective covering around the egg. Got it? Sperm, head, midpiece, tail, acrosome. Okay. What I'm going to do is, that model, I'm going to erase it, but it's going to look pretty much just like it. Not model, but the drawing I made. Hey, there we go. Remember your classroom? Okay. I'm going to get rid of that one, put up another one. Okay. Now this one was to show you the testes, the lobules, the seminiferous tubules, cremaster, dartos. That's what this one was to show you. Now the next one I'm going to draw, which is going to be very, very similar, is going to show you next one's going to show you the Vas Deferens and how sperm goes from the testes up to the urethra. Got it? And I'll show you the accessory glands. I'm letting that dry. Are you guys obeying the stay-at-home order? Did you get your stimulus money? Well, some of you are nodding your head. Yeah, I got it. Okay. I didn't get any stimulus money. So can you kind of like throw some money my way? Okay. I got to feed the horses. So if you would all just kind of like ship me like maybe $200 each, my horses would be happy. And I know what you're saying right now, and the bad words, those are bad words. But I know what they're saying. You're saying no. It's your money. Well, where do you think that money came from? It came from me. I put it in taxes. They gave it to you. I want it back. Okay. I should be dry. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to go down here. Scrotum. Left side now. See it lower? Okay. Abdominal wall. I'll do it in color. I'll do it in orange so you can see a little easier. Okay. No. I'm going to make it funny right now. But I'm going to draw his testes. Okay. Blue. Get it? Okay, so here's a testes. Here's another testes. And remember the storage area. See these blue balls? The storage area, I had to say that. The storage area on the outside is the epididymis. And it goes up and it perforates into the abdominal wall. So I hope you could see that orange elongated thing. That represents the epididymis. Okay? This cord, there's one on the right side, one on the left. This cord is called the Vas Deferens. Has another name, Ductus Deferens. Has another name, Seminal Duct. 3 names. Now be careful of that second one, that last one, Seminal Duct. Okay? Seminal Duct is real close to Seminal Vesicle Duct. 2 completely different things. So here's where I'm at. You can't see that. I'm getting a little changer out here. There it is. There it is. Oh, there it is. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Back, 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 back. Okay, here we go. You see right there, acrosome? I have Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens, Seminal Duct. Those 3 things are the name of that tube that's homologous to the fallopian tubes. 1, 2, 3, same thing. Got it? Now, the next part, I got to move you back over there so you can see my scrotum. Okay, where's that? Scrotum, there it is. We just named that tube. Okay? Whatever you want to call it, most of the time we call it Vas Deferens. Okay? But anyway, that tube goes up, perforates the abdominal wall at the floor, abdominal floor, and gets up in here. Now, what is up here? Bladder with the urethra. Okay? Now be careful. I'm going to draw a wiener. Willie, penis. This is a big one. Okay? Okay, there's a penis. Now, obviously, the penis is not, the testes are not inside the penis. But I can't stand like this, okay? I can't draw it any other way because if it comes out at you, you wouldn't be able to see it. So you know that the urethra is inside the penis. So that yellow-orange line is going to merge with this black one because this is the urethra. This is the bladder. You got to drain the bladder. Bladder's with the excretory system. We just did the excretory system. You know you got to drain that bladder. Attached to this are your ureters. There's one there and one here, and it comes from the kidney. Got it? Okay, we're oriented. Okay. Now, I'm going to get rid of the urethra for just a moment. And I'm going to put in just the Vas Deferens. Vas Deferens got to get inside the abdominal wall. Do you understand? Vas Deferens has got to get inside the abdominal wall. That means we have a hole there. If we have a hole, up in here, as well as the bladder, is all your intestines, your liver, your spleen. Yes? All that's inside here. It wants to come out. Your abdominal wall is highly pressurized. So it wants to come out. It's trying to find a way to come out. If it finds a way to come out, it's called hernia. Okay? And the most susceptible for dudes is right there. Because we had to poke a hole through there to get the Vas Deferens. Yes? One on each side. What else has to come into and out of the scrotum? Don't we have arterial blood? Don't we have venous blood? Don't we have lymph tissue, lymph fluid? Yes? Do we have a nerve? You know you've got a nerve. Yes? So that means we have to have 4 or 5 holes on each side, which makes 10 holes, which means every time you walk, you get a hernia. Okay? So what the body has done is it's cabled all this together. So I'm going to do some colors right here. Okay. Here's an artery. Here's a vein. Here's lymph tissue. Remember, I'm only drawing one side. Okay? Here's a nerve. Oh my gosh. We had that many holes, we know we'd have a hernia. So what the body does is it cables it all together. Makes one cable and pokes one hole in. And the cable is called spermatic cord. Here's where I'm at, spermatic cord. And above that, you see arteries, veins, nerve, lymphatic tissue. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the model. Do you see this? Let me get closer. This room is hotter than hell. Let me go this way, this way. You see this right here? You notice you see red, blue, and there's some other color back in there. This is the spermatic cord. I'll do it like this so you can see it. What they've done is they cut the outside of the cord off so you can see all the components. And this goes up and then perforates into the abdominal wall, one hole. And that's called the inguinal canal. And the inguinal canal is formed from the tendons of three muscles: external oblique, internal oblique, transverse abdominis. They all come together and they leave a hole. And the hole is where it comes through. So you got one on the right, one on the left. Yes? If the intestines do poke down in there, that's called an inguinal hernia. Okay? Now, what they did on this one is here's the spermatic cord here. You can see the arterial, the venous blood. You don't see the lymphatic, and then you see the vas deferens. And they cut it away, so all you see is vas deferens. But if you look behind, you can see the blood vessels. And then you can see it goes up through pelvic bone, and then it goes inside the abdominal wall. This is the inside abdominal wall. This is the inguinal canal. Got it? I just told you what the inguinal canal was comprised of. Are we good? Then you can see it wraps around. And then this is the ureter coming from the kidney. And this is the seminal vesicle gland. And this is the vas deferens. And they're going to merge right here and form the ejaculatory duct. I'm going to do that for you in just a minute. So here, oh, you can't see that. Wrong. Hi, there I am. Okay, you saw arteries, veins, nerve, then you saw spermatic cord. Get how come I put that up there? Okay, so it's a whole bunch of stuff together. It's the vas deferens, ductus deferens, plus the arteries, nerves, and veins together, and that forms the spermatic cord. You know why? It goes through the inguinal canal, so it gets inside the abdominal cavity. Once any of the contents of the abdominal cavity, once more time, whenever the contents of the abdominal cavity comes out of the abdominal cavity, it's called a hernia. You can have an abdominal hernia, which means it comes out any place in the belly. Belly, backside, hold on. Bless me, thank you. When it comes out of the abdominal wall, it's called abdominal hernia. We see that a lot of times with infants around the belly button, the umbilical, where the umbilical cord attaches. Abdominal, yes? Okay. The next one is hiatal, the diaphragm. Remember the diaphragm right here? That separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. If there's, now you know that you have the aorta going through it. Go down here. That goes through the diaphragm. You have the inferior vena cava coming back up. Yes? You have the esophagus going down. That means you have a weakened area, just like we did on the dude at the floor of the abdominal wall. Okay? That's a hiatal hernia. So when it pops up through the diaphragm into the thoracic cavity, hiatal hernia. Okay? You don't see it as much, even though you'd think, well, gosh, you know, the aorta is this big, the vena cava is this big. Obviously, we got a soft spot there, but you got to remember, we stand up and gravity helps bring it down, keeps it down there. Yeah. And the last one is the inguinal. Inguinal hernia, I just told you. When it comes, what happens is it'll pop through where the spermatic cord comes up. The intestines, usually the intestine, will slide down in there and end up in your scrotum. Okay? And you're going, well, that can't be good. No, it can't be. Okay? You either have to have it pull up and put that mesh in there that you've been seeing on the internet. You know, if you have this mesh put in, call this number. You know, the law firm, you know, Curtis Law Firm or whatever it might be. Okay, they put a mesh in there like a little screen to keep it until it heals over. Yeah? That's an inguinal. Okay, now, next terms. Seminal vesicle duct, ejaculatory duct. Okay, I'm back on my drawing over here. See if I got it right. Nope. Drawing. There's that big old penis. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do it in red so you can see it better. Okay. Now, once the spermatic cord gets inside the abdominal cavity, the vas deferens splits off of it, and the arteries, veins, they go back to the vena cava and the aorta and that kind of stuff. And then it comes up, wraps around. Now I just drew the vas deferens. Comes up, wrap around, and right here, lateral, inferior to the bladder is a gland, and that gland is called seminal vesicle gland. Do you see? Okay. Coming out of the seminal vesicle gland is a little duct. Yes? A little duct. That seminal vesicle gland duct merges with the vas deferens, and I'll do this one in blue, to form the ejaculatory duct. Did you get that? Vas deferens plus seminal vesicle duct forms the ejaculatory duct. Over here. Seminal vesicle duct and the ejaculatory, seminal vesicle duct and the vas deferens, those two ducts form the ejaculatory duct. Got it? And that's what's going to merge with the urethra. But I have to draw in something else. I'll draw it in, I'll do it in black. Right here we have another accessory gland. It's called the prostate. I'm going to show you these on the model in just a minute. Okay? And the ejaculatory duct is inside the prostate. And I'm going to do it in yellow. I'm going to draw the urethra. Let me get rid of the testes. Let me make this penis a little bit smaller. Okay? So here's the penis. Okay? There's the prepuce. There's the glands. There's the opening urethra. Coming. Now I'm just going to show it from the prostate. I'm just going to show it from the prostate because I don't want to see it inside it. Here's the urethra. All the way down. Okay? Urethra draining the bladder. Here's the urethra inside the prostate. I made it yellow. The blue, which is the ejaculatory duct, merges with the urethra inside the prostate. And when it merges with it, it's not called the ejaculatory duct anymore. It's called the urethra. So in blue, I'm going to put ejaculatory duct. And then we have the urethra. There's three parts to the urethra. One, prostatic. It's kind of like duct, right? In the prostate, the urethra and the prostate is called prostatic. Between the prostate and the abdominal wall is the membranous. Got it? And in the shaft of the penis is the spongy or cavernous. You understand? So back over here, urethra. Got it? 3 parts: prostatic, membranous, spongy. And I just told you what they were. Prostatic is in the area of the prostate. Membranous is from the prostate to the abdominal wall, and from the abdominal wall out through the urethra, through the penis, is the spongy or cavernous. Good. Okay, accessory glands. Dudes have 3 accessory glands. Now, we did this when we did the digestive tract and when we did the excretory. You have a tube, okay? Anything that adds to or takes away from what's going in that tube is called accessory. We did the liver, the gallbladder, pancreas. Remember that? Okay. Accessory here. Dudes, 3. Prostate, seminal vesicle, calipers or bulbourethral. That's the 3. So I listed them here. Number 1, seminal vesicle. Number 2, prostate. Number 3, calipers or bulbourethral gland. Okay, what do we know about the seminal vesicle? Inferior-lateral. Just drew it for you in green over here. Inferior-lateral to the bladder. To the bladder. They're paired. One on the right, one on the left. It secretes high concentration of fructose. What is fructose? It is a sugar. Why would a sperm need a sugar? Okay. What is that? What's going to happen to that tail? Go back to that meiosis continuation of life video I did. What did you notice about those tails, that flagellum? That thing is whipping like a son of a gun. What means it? What gives it the energy to whip? ATP. What do you need to make ATP? Glucose, fructose. You see why you have it. 60% of ejaculate. That's what they call it. Okay. The fluid that a guy emits when he ejaculates, called ejaculate. Got it? It's called the ejaculate. That fluid has a volume. 60% of that volume is fructose coming from the seminal vesicle. So the majority of it, you get it? Got it? Probably a test question. And then that comes out of the seminal vesicle in a duct that merges with the vas deferens to form the ejaculatory duct. The ejaculatory duct, they merge inside the prostate, which is our second accessory gland. There's only one of them. It's singular. I drew it for you over here. I drew it in black. It secretes 2 things. 1, citric acid. 2, acid phosphatase. ASE, what is it? Come on. Come on. Phosphatase, ASE, what is it? Yeah, it's an enzyme. What happens is you got this sperm that comes out of the testes, out of the epididymis. It travels in the vas deferens. It's sleeping. It's lethargic. It makes a bend, comes over there, and merges with the ejaculatory duct, or merges with the seminal vesicle duct, and it ends up in a whole pile of sugar. Got it? When it does, it's going, wow, look at how much I can make a whole bunch of ATP, but it needs an enzyme to kick it started. And that enzyme is acid phosphatase. Kind of creates a little bit more of an acid environment with citric acid. Yes, but it still ain't done. It needs the third one, and the third one is the calipers or bulbourethral gland. It's a little alkaline. Here's what happens. With urine, the urethra is acidic. Acid kills sperm. So the first thing you got to do is you got to neutralize that tube, that urethra. You neutralize it with the secretion of the third accessory gland called the calipers or bulbourethral, pea-sized, and they're about, I'm going to do it in green so you can see it. And we did seminal vesicle, we did the prostate. Right about here are two pea-sized, one on the right, one on the left, pea-sized glands called calipers or bulbourethral with their ducts. And their ducts merges with the urethra. When it does, it dumps out its contents and it's alkaline. It secretes an alkaline fluid and it makes that urethra more basic. Okay? You're going to need to be more basic because acid kills sperm. And you also want to start the vagina becoming a little bit more basic because it's acid too. Okay? Everybody trying to kill our poor sperm. Sometimes they call that fluid pre-ejaculant. Does ejaculant have an ENT or ANT? I put it as A, erase it, put it as an E. You can make whatever you want. Okay? Pre-ejaculant. Okay? And when you were in, I don't know when they do it now, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and they teach you about, you know, the birds and the bees, the boys and the girls, and they say that stuff that comes out right in the very beginning, we call that pre-ejaculant. That can get you pregnant. Okay? Is that true? Okay? What's in pre-ejaculant? Well, look. Alkaline substance. To make the urethra and the vagina a little bit more basic. Can that get you pregnant? And the answer is no. The only thing that can get you pregnant is that damn sperm. Okay? You understand? Why did they tell you that? Well, they're erring, E-R-R-O-R, on the side of safety. You understand? At your level, can the calipers bulbourethral pre-ejaculant fluid get you pregnant? The answer is no. Okay? Semen. Now, when a dude ejaculates, he ejaculates a volume, and that is called semen. Semen consists of two things. One, sperm. Two, seminal fluid. Not seminal vesicle fluid. Not seminal vesicle fluid. Seminal fluid. Seminal fluid consists of three things. Now I'm going to erase the board and pick up right there. It's hotter than heck in this room. You don't care. You're sitting there with your pajamas on. Yeah. Okay, let me pause this thing here. Okay. You're going to see some magic here. You were just looking at something. Now you're going to see something else. We're almost done with the male. But here we go. Whoop, 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 whoop. Here we go. Okay. Remember we got to accessory glands. Some guy exercising out here. I got to check out who this is. Just a homeless guy. All right. We were talking about semen. Remember I said what a guy ejaculates, that fluid is called semen. Okay? It consists of two things. One, sperm. You know where that came from. Semineferous tubules, Spididymis, yada, yada, yada. And the second thing is seminal fluid. Now you get so many seminals. We have seminal duct, we have seminal vesicle duct, we got seminal vesicle, all that stuff. So keep these straight because I'm going to ask you on exam. Seminal fluid, okay? Now, if a guy has a vasectomy, you take away the sperm and the guy ejaculates seminal fluid, okay? If you add up, a guy ejaculates, let's say 1.5 million sperm. That isn't enough. See, Sam, that's not enough to put in a thimble. Less than that. It's not enough to put on as a racer. Okay? Most of what it is seminal fluid. So when a guy has a vasectomy, is he even going to notice the difference in amount? And the answer is no. Okay, seminal fluid has 3 components. Seminal fluid has 3 components. Now remember, semen has 2, seminal fluid has 3. Semen is sperm and seminal fluid. Okay, seminal fluid has 3. Secretions from the seminal vesicle. Remember, 60% fructose, that kind of stuff. Secretions from the prostate. Remember that the enzyme, acid phosphatase and citric acid. And the last one, to make it alkaline, calipers, lobules. These 3 make up seminal fluid. Are we good? Okay. Let's talk about the penis. All right, I'm going to draw a penis for you. I hope it looks like a penis. Always the last one. Always the last one. Okay, I'm going to draw the penis. I'm going to draw the penis. Now let's picture the penis sticking straight out. Okay. Okay, I'm going to draw the picture of it from the inferior end looking superior, and one from the superior looking inferior. One from superior looking at inferior, and I'm going to turn it this way, so it's up. Okay, so there's 2 penises. 1, 2. Okay, this is the shaft. Okay, here's the abdominal wall. Right up here is where the shaft meets the glands. So this is the glands. Sometimes they call it glans penis. Okay? Now, this is superior looking down inferior, looking at the floor. So this is for us dudes, if we're looking down like this is what we see. Okay? If we are on the floor looking up, and I don't know how you get on the floor to look up at your penis, but it looks like this. Kind of looks like a little Spanish helmet right there. Okay? Glands, glands. Okay. Now, right here is extra tissue called foreskin or prepuce. You understand? Where the glands and the shaft meet, that's called a corona. Got it? So over here, I have penis, shaft, glands, corona, prepuce. Do you understand? Now, just bear with me here. This is an uncircumcised, let's do it this way. This is an uncircumcised male. If a male is circumcised, they cut, this is the prepuce. They cut the prepuce away. And there's the glands. This is the corona. So it's shaft, corona, glands. Okay? Uncircumcised male. Okay? Now when a circumcised male gets an erection, an uncircumcised, let me do that again. Uncircumcised male gets an erection, the glands, because the shaft fills up with blood, there's no bone in it. When the shaft fills up with blood, it enlarges. Got it? So when it enlarges, it comes out of the protective sheath, yes, which is the prepuce, and there it is. There's very little difference visualizing an erect male, uncircumcised, and an erect male, circumcised. If a male is circumcised, the penis, even though it's flaccid, which means limp, flaccid, still has the same appearance. Yes? So back over here. An erection we know is caused from and infiltration of blood, there's no bone in there. There are mammals that have bones in there. The bone's called a baculum. Okay, your dog has a baculum. Raccoon has a baculum. Okay, circumcision. Removal of prepuce. Removal of the foreskin. Vasectomy. Okay, remember the spermatic cord? Remember the spermatic cord? See the spermatic cord? What they do is they go down here in the scrotum. They make a laceration on the right or on the left. They separate the blood vessels, pull out the Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens seminal duct, pull it out, cut it, cauterize it, tie it in a knot on each end, cauterize it. So there's a space. So that means the sperm that is stored in the epididymis can't get inside to the penis, into the urethra. Do you understand? That's a vasectomy. On this one, okay, remember the spermatic cord is cut right here. They take this, but it's down in the scrotum, and they make a laceration, pull it out, cut it, tighten a knot, cauterize it, put it back in there, throw a couple stitches on your scrotum. You no more longer a daddy. Okay? That's a vasectomy. Cutting the vas deferens. Testosterone. We talked about the hormone testosterone. Testosterone, here's a testing. Remember the lobules? The tissue in between the lobules is called interstitial. It's still cells, but it's interstitial cells. And those cells, there's different types. One is lighting. The cells of lighting produce testosterone. Cells of lighting produce testosterone. You understand? Cryptorchidism. Now, as males and females are developing in the uterus, all their organs are developing, including their gonads. Females' gonads, males' gonads are being formed in the pelvic cavity. Females stay there throughout their life. Males distend into the scrotum. If they fail to distend in the scrotum at birth, the condition is called cryptorchidism. Cryptorchidism. The testes do not go down into the scrotum. It means you got an empty sac. Next thing you see up there, secondary sex characteristics. Dudes, we're going to do this on the females too. Dudes, when you hit puberty, that's when your secondary sex characteristics undergo development. Pubic hair, facial hair, laryngeal prominence, Adam's apple grows. I don't know if you dudes remember, there was a time, probably when you were 11, 12, 13 years old, and you lost your voice for about a month. Started crackling. When it came back, your voice was deeper. Okay? That's because under the influence of testosterone, your laryngeal prominence grew. When it grew, you couldn't get reverberation from your folds, vocal folds. You couldn't get those to reverberate, right? So your voice was crackling and stuff, and pretty soon your voice is dropping because what happens is your vocal cords got longer. Okay? Okay. And taking steroids, male or female, because you want to get muscle build, okay, will lower your voice. Okay? Not all the time that's the reason, but have you ever heard a chick talking, her voice is real deep, like, hey, what are you doing? Okay? Probably taking steroids. Okay? All right. Now, this ends this portion. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the board. We'll have another printing another video, and I'll do the female. But before I do that, I want to show you some of these parts. Okay. Testy. Epididymis. Embedded in here, Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens, Seminal Duct. This is the spermatic cord. Shaft, glands, corona. I don't see a prepuce here. Okay, look. Yeah, no prepuce. Okay. Prostate, seminal vesicle gland, bladder. See the rugae? See the rugae? Prostate. Urethra. Prostatic urethra. You see right there? Let me get it. You see right there? That is the ejaculatory duct. You see this right here? That's the seminal vesicle gland from the side. What you can't see is the seminal vesicle duct. And you can't see where the, maybe you can on this one. Okay, look at it from this side. Okay, do we see it? Okay, I'm holding on to the spermatic cord. This is the pubic bone. This is the interior of the bladder. Rugae. Urethra. Prostatic urethra. All this is perfect. I'm being eaten by bugs, man. Prostatic urethra. Ejaculatory duct. And you can see where, got that little dude. Here's the, see what this was is there was a seminal vesicle and they had it split so you could take it off. What's happened is over the years, somebody's taken it off so many times we can't see it anymore. This, see it? Okay, this is part of the spermatic cord. This is the vas deferens. Okay, this is the ureter. This goes up to the kidney. Okay, ureter, tube, ureter tube. Okay, going over here, this is the vas deferens. It's going to merge with the duct of the seminal vesicle gland to form the ejaculatory duct, which is that guy right there. Ejaculatory duct. Okay, good, good. All righty, let me see what else I have. Oh, I'm gonna take it and split the penis. Okay, I just took the, see the penis? I just took it off, okay? Now, right here, let me get over here. Right here, this is the, remember, so this is the abdominal wall up here. So that means this part of the urethra is the cavernous or spongy, okay? Membranous you can't see. Epididymis, testy. I think this part right there, as it goes up here, is the dartos. You can see a little bit of a ridge, which would be the raphae. A little bit of a ridge, which would be raphae. Put this in here. Just a minute. What the hell? Daddy, it won't go back. There we go. Okay, let's look at the one from 3B. Okay. This is the ureter, goes up to the kidney. Okay, you can see it in here. Kidney, ureter. Kidney, ureter. Descending aorta, iliac artery. Inferior vena cava. Up. Almost lost his penis here. Get the penis back. Okay. Scrotum, testy, epididymis, This is number 14. This is Vas Deferens, Ductus Deferens. Here's a 13, Ductus Deferens. I told you Epididymis, shaft of the penis, glands, penis, corona, and they have just up a little higher. You got like a little bit of prepuce. Then you can see the prepuce on the other side. So this guy is this poor guy, he got, oops, let me show you. Look at, see him hiding in there? He got half of a circumcision, okay? So what you're seeing, remember this guy? Remember this guy? Look at him. Get it? Okay. Okay, now we're gonna take this apart. Remember, that's the prostate. That's the prostate. That's the seminal vesicle gland. Remember, 60% fructose? Now, this cavernous spongy. From here to here, membranous. Prostate, ejaculatory duct. You see it? Ejaculatory duct. Prostatic urethra. Oh yeah, there's a Cowper's. That's the Cowper's gland. Right there, Cowper's gland. I'll show you the Cowper's gland on the other one. Pull this off. You see that gland down in there? Oops. See that gland down in there? That's the Cowper's or bulbourethral gland. Kind of bluish color. Okay, that ends the dude. So I'm going to post this video. Now we're going to do the female. We're going to approach it much the same way. Good? So here we go. See you guys. Don't forget to wash your pajamas. By the way, did Baskin kill her husband?